really think, like, who would have thought Jim from The Office would be like one of the greatest horror directors out right now? Well, I don't want to say greatest; it seems a little too soon. But him and Jordan Peele, they're leading us to new limits, new heights. A Quiet Place Part 2. So Quiet Place Part 2 is what it is, part 2 of A Quiet Place that came out back in 2018. The film was written and directed by John Krasinski and stars Emily Blunt, some kids, and Killian Murphy. It stars Scarecrow. And basically this movie picks up right after A Quiet Place Part 1. So if you haven't seen Part 1, you definitely need to watch that in order to get an idea of what is going on now and like where these characters are at. First off, what I want to say is I'm really glad they waited for this movie to come out in theaters because it just would not be the same watching it at home. I watched the first Quiet Place at home and it was still tense, but actually being in a theater to see part 2, I can really tell that I missed out on not going to the theaters on the last one because it's basically a viewing experience. Like you and the audience are in there together, and I was eating popcorn throughout the whole thing, and a lot of times while I'm watching it, I was making sure I like slowly crunch on my popcorn just because I felt like I was in the movie or I was a part of these characters, like or a monster was gonna bust out the wall and just cut my throat in the middle of the theater. And that's a testament to John Krasinski's directing because this man can really direct. Since the majority of the movie goes off, nonverbal communication and just sound effects and everything, he really directed it in a way where every scene feels tense. Like even the subtle scenes feel like something could happen. Like the first 10 minutes of this movie could have been like a short film or something, just like something from an anthology series, just because of the way it started and the way it ended. It was like the first 10 minutes of this movie is actually one of the greatest pieces of cinema I've seen in a minute, like of a low key scale to this regard. And spoiler alert, I guess they showed this in the trailer, but you actually get to see how the first day when this whole invasion started, like what was the reaction, and that was something we didn't really get to see in the first Quiet Place because it already dropped us off in the middle of everything. Of course, it set up the rules and showed us how the monsters respond to sound effects and what to do and what not to do if you want to survive. But this one actually answers the question, like what would happen if monsters just came out of nowhere and you weren't prepared for it. And that's stuff John Krasinski gets good in this movie. Like, after A Quiet Place, I really want to see what other type of movies will he direct. Like, is he going to stick mainly to horror elements or thriller or suspense? But either way it goes, I'm really looking forward to see what he does in the future. And outside of that, all the other actors are great in this movie. Emily Blunt, she's great. She plays badass mom. She be shooting people and, always gets a headshot no matter what. Like, she gets more headshots than John Wick in this movie, it seemed like. Well, not more than John Wick, but she could be on par with John Wick if she was given a gun in a John Wick movie. The daughter in the movie, let me look up her name. Millicent Simmons, that's her name. She basically has the A story with this whole movie, and she really does a great job just leading the pack. Like, if this movie just had her in it, it would still be a pretty good movie because that's how good a performance she gives. There's a scene in the movie where it doesn't even involve monsters or anything. It's just the human element of it is what's scary, and she really does put in the work as a performer because all her nonverbal acting skills, because I believe she's deaf in real life, but she pulls it off and she's just amazing. And the whole thing, like, this is essentially her movie. It's her and Cillian Murphy's movie, and Emily Blunt and the son and the baby, they're in it too, but we're mainly following her and Cillian Murphy, or Killian. I hope I'm not messing up his name, but if I am, sorry, Scarecrow. The movie did kind of end like abruptly to me, but it kind of ended in like the same vein as the last one, so I feel like, of course, there's gonna be a part 3 soon, but I was just wanting more too. I just wanted to see more. Like some parts, I just wanted to see more scenes they could add a little bit more detail into it. But oh, that's the only negative thing I could say about it. Like, yeah, A Quiet Place 2 is definitely worth checking out, and I would give it an 8 out of 10. Alright guys, that's it for today. If you want to see more of my videos, click the link in the bio. And if you have any suggestions of movies that you want me to watch that have came out in the past or are coming out, just let me know, and, you know, maybe I'll get to it eventually or something. Alright then, till next time. Or not. It's your choice. Like I said, do what you want.
Oh no. The red lights. It's an emergency. I know. Kanye was just on TMZ and he said slavery was a choice.